All right. We're back. Let's get into it. Morse Code Podcast, episode 36. So,
Yeah, the
Marcus
Smart
Smart.
edition.
Nice. Love it.
And Shaq in 2010.
Yeah, excellent call. Two Celtics legends.
The Big Shamrock.
Did he have any other nicknames in Boston? Was that a real one?
He had a cup of coffee with us. He didn't deserve another name.
I know.
He had a nickname in every team, pretty much. The Big Cactus in Phoenix.
Shactus was
a cool one.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Did you see when he conducted the Boston Pops over Christmas?
That. I wasn't at that show, but I do remember that storyline.
I was
playing.
Yeah, I wasn't at the show.
The oboe.
I wasn't at the show.
Let's get into it. We have a very special friend of the program edition. First-time friend of the program. First-time, long-time. Marc, TKA. I don't even know how to pronounce your last name. I've known you for like 5 years.
Provenzano. It's amazingly Italian. It does not get more Italian than that.
Provenzano. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it?
I have no idea. I've been to Sicily and I've been to Italy, and people just say Provenzano like it's normal. So
great name.
Damn, that brings back memories.
Hey, my dad gave it to me, so yeah, pretty cool.
Respect. So we have Marc Provenzano on the podcast. TKA, toughest kid around. Most people here know him. If you don't, you will shortly. We wanted to get you on the show, Marc, for a couple of reasons. Well, more than a couple of reasons. But more specifically, you're a great person. I think you have a lot of good insight into a lot of different things. But more immediately, we wanted to get you on for some interesting perspectives from some of your life's journeys. We are in the thick of an opening round Celtics playoffs, Celtics-Sixers. If you watch game 2, boy, was that a garbage-looking squad.
I laughed the whole time.
That shot of Embiid literally like contemplating killing himself on the bench was outstanding. Down 20, just trash all around him.
I'm a superstitious person, and I thought about just like I'm in the group chat with like the people from Philly I actually like. And
Ben Simmons, Bryce Harper, Carson Wentz.
Listen, big Bryce Harper fan. Everybody there hates his guts, though. It's like hysterical. Okay. I saw the guy who was on the virtual fan with the headband over his eyes, and I thought about just taking that and putting it as a poster in my room and blowing it up in like every group chat and everything that's Philly. But then I said, maybe wait till we actually win 4 games. Agreed.
That's why I don't want to get too into it. But anyway.
Yeah, because now we have to play the next 2 games in Philly.
We're going to Philly. That's the crazy thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those virtual fans are going to be flipped right back. Arbella Insurance logos, TD Bank, gone off the court. That's a huge psyche. Whoever in God's name wants to invest advertising in the Philadelphia 76ers, it's going to be
it's the Wachovia Center?
Wells Fargo Center.
Wells Fargo. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who has more legit advertisers, our show or Philadelphia. Speaking of advertisers.
Speaking of which.
We got to keep the lights on. Obviously, we had to dig in our pockets to get someone like Marc on here. So Soapy, who do we got today?
Yeah. Again, I'm reading the ad read that was sent to us via email today. Mm-hmm. So today, our special guest, Marc Provenzano, is brought to you by VHS. Whether you're looking for a way to preserve home movies, you want to rewatch Game 7 of the Super Bowl, or you're working late and miss your favorite episode of Jeopardy, VHS has been there by your side to catch it all. So again, for our listeners only, go to VHS.com/Morse code to get 1 VHS for the price of 2. Again, that's VHS.com/MORSECODE to get 1 VHS for the price of 2. When you need help making memories stick, there's more than one kind of tape.
And if you use promo code TKA, that is TKA, you get a free tape rewinder with your purchase of 3 cassettes.
Ooh,
thank you, Marc.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Very generous of you.
Shout out to our friends at VHS. I don't know what it stands for, but they're great friends.
Phenomenal question. I'm assuming V is for video.
Video.
H throws me for a real loop.
History.
Home? Video home. System.
Video home.
Solutions. A video home solution. It's not in very good order, but it is a solution to watching a video in your home.
I'll tell you what, the first person that calls into this show with the correct answer,
I will send them
We'll give you a free shout out on the next episode.
Yep. I'll send them my grandmother's address so they can drive over and go into her family room and pick 10 VHS tapes of their choice.
All right, so I found out what it stands for because, phones.
Yeah, at least video, right?
I'm not going to say it until the end of the podcast.
Fuck you, Mark. Ooh, that's why you're the best in the business.
That's why. That's show business.
Anyway, so we are on the VHS hotline with TKA. Where was I? We were talking about Philly, Boston. So Mark, give us a little insight into who you are, where you're from, what you stand for. Who are you and who do you play for?
Political affiliation,
social security number.
I'm a flag waving libertarian, which means I have no flag whatsoever.
Also, size when you're soft.
Floor is yours.
What is it in centimeters? We can just make it sound better.
We have a stat guy to look that up. Don't worry about it.
Please get the producer on that, Chase too.
So go ahead, Mark, for our non-local audience.
So I got my break. I was working for iHeartMedia, small little company.
Heard of them?
But yeah, they. I started in Boston. I was on the air part-time. Got a full-time gig in Portsmouth and was also on the air there. From there, I just kind of worked up. And I got a job offer to go to Philadelphia. I was a little hesitant to take it just because of that is not – I didn't really see myself living that far away. I always used different markets. I applied everywhere to see if I could get anywhere, but I never really saw myself leaving New England, and nor did I really want to. But I couldn't really turn the offer down. I mean, for those who understand radio, TV, and just media, I went from like market 123 to market like number 9 or 6, somewhere in that single digit range. So I was like, I wasn't going to be on the air, which I didn't, it wasn't really a big point for me, but I was working myself to death in New Hampshire where I was just like, okay, I can do less work and make more money. And I'm still, in the company that I've been loyal to and has been loyal to me. Mm-hmm. Let me take a shot. I was there for 13 months, met a girl, saw a terrible Super Bowl there.
So let's rewind real quick.
Sure.
Give us some insight for our non-local listeners into your sports fandom. You're from New England, so diehard Pats, Bees, Sox, Celtics.
Absolutely,
Boston Cannons.
Excuse me, Boston Cannons.
I've actually
They're a big sponsor.
Been to a Cannons game.
Wow, you're the guy who's been to a Cannons game. Yeah, I was wanting to meet that guy.
Weren't you also a guest goalie for the Revolution? Goalie night?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been to a Revs game, and I kind of want to. Is that bad?
Are they still – is MLS happening?
I can't understand any soccer league to save my life.
Yeah, me neither.
But I saw a Netflix documentary on the team in Sunderland, England. And
I watched that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of theirs.
That was a dope – yeah. It was All or Nothing Sunderland.
Yeah, they're like the
Cleveland going into it, I thought it was a documentary on Kiefer Sutherland, the guy from 24. I was wrong, but it still ended up being a pretty good show.
I would have definitely liked a Kiefer Sutherland documentary.
I was just very confused when I was like, wow, there's a lot of soccer in 24 hours.
No kidding. Anyway. And they're not even
when is like the crime going to start? But anyway, so
when are they going to show the Lost Boys?
Yeah, right. So again, diehard local New England sports fan. Historically, New England sports and Philadelphia sports don't exactly mesh.
I never really knew that.
I guess that's actually fair. That's fair. It's mostly Sixers, Celtics. Outside of that, you're right.
Yeah, there was like a little beef with the Flyers, like when the Bruins started their cup runs, and I knew of the teams and I followed some of them just because I would just always watch sports. So I obviously
that's when they got 3-0'd, right?
Yeah, that's when the Bruins got swept. They were up, and then they came back and just lost in phenomenal fashion, swept them the next year. I remember.
Shout out Alston.
I went down there, and I always have had, and I didn't even notice it till I lived in Philly, that I always wear something that says Boston on it. And I'd never really noticed it until I was really called out, and they used to tell me that I was like, he's like, dude, I've never seen anyone ride for a city like you do. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, you either have a Red Sox hat on, a Patriots hat on, a T-shirt that says Boston, a jersey that is Boston related. I'm like, it's my wardrobe.
Yeah.
You're forgetting You've got those Boston Market gloves from when you used to work there. You said you always used to wear those too, right?
Yes, I did. Yes,
and you do have Boston tattooed up across your belly button on your stomach as well, right?
I have a tribal sun there. You're thinking of the one on my back. I have the tribal sun on my belly button.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Been a while. Fucking COVID.
Shout
sounds
out to
good.
Body Shots.
So anyway, so you're a young kid. How old were you at the time?
30.
12?
30.
30. Okay. So you're down in Philadelphia, starting a new venture.
Sure.
Walk us through kind of your thoughts in general on the city as you became a citizen.
It's dirty.
Okay.
No, I mean, Philly has its highlights. They have this wonderful thing called happy hour at bars, which I didn't, this full time I went full force on something like that. It's a really good drinking town. If you like history, it's also cool. Like I checked out, I'm a history nut. So I checked out like everything that they had, like Obama did the speech from the Revolution Museum. I checked that out when I was on my way out there. I ran up the Rocky Steps. I checked out South Philly. I did all like the Italian things and the American history things, and I checked that off. That was like, I did all that basically like a week. Nice. And then I was like, okay, tourism's over, so let's figure this out. I didn't realize how much they don't like people from Boston until, let's see, what was it? I was standing outside of a bar on my phone wearing a Red Sox hat, and I actually got like the guy walking by me, he goes, "Hey, Red Sox." I was like, "Oh," and I completely told me to go fuck myself and just walk away. And I was like, the day I started to really despise the city of Philadelphia was the Pats Eagles Super Bowl.
Okay. Just
because I knew that, one, obviously, diehard Pats fan, Tom Brady broke my heart. But I was working at a radio station that had a lot to do with the Eagles. They used to throw pregame parties at their little area. If you've ever been there, it's the link where they play Wells Fargo in all one area, one big parking lot. Wells Fargo, Sixers, Flyers, and then Citizens Bank where the Phillies are. Great ballpark, by the way.
Yeah, that is a sick field.
It's a very nice ballpark. The fact that people tailgate before baseball games also threw me for a loop.
That's cool.
But I went to, they basically said, if the Eagles, because this is just my boss at the time trying to be funny, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be the one in charge of covering the Eagles parade. So I had a little bit of even more of a personal interest in the game. Went to a bar. I used to frequent this bar in Philadelphia, which is right in what they call Center City, off Chestnut Street, called Smith's. Smith's is a Patriots bar in the city of Philadelphia.
Like New England Patriots?
New England Patriots. Every Sunday, my first Sunday I was there, I took an Uber from the hotel I was staying at. I found this place on my phone somehow right before I left. Walked in there, and I was greeted by like Mike from Mansfield, Tom from Quincy, Bob from Brockton, and just started like kind of making
Cam from Taunton.
Yeah, Cam from Taunton, and Lizzie from Stoughton. And I just started, a lot of South Shore people for some reason in Philadelphia. But I just started kind of making like pseudo Boston friends. I actually had my first date with my girlfriend at this place.
Very romantic.
Very. I wanted to watch. She's a nurse, so she only had like Sunday off, the only time I could actually meet her for the first time. So I said, all right, well, let's go watch football together. And I take her to a Patriots bar that's not even showing the Eagles game. And she shows up. And
is she an Eagles fan?
Ridiculous, annoying Eagles fan. Yeah.
Oh,
I love her to death.
Yeah.
But
that stinks.
We don't talk a lot.
Oh, speak on it.
Season.
Let's get into it.
Hit his ass.
But the Super Bowl, I'll never forget it. It was like 60. Obviously, we're in Philadelphia. Every bar is being taken over by Philly fans.
Yep.
But we decided to still give it a shot. This is a place we just went to all the time on Sundays, especially me, so I could watch the game. And we went there. We got there early. This bar is like 3 steps up is the second level, and then the down level. Everyone who's a Pats fan was on like what they call the first level. So that's where I went, and I'm watching the game, and I'm drinking my $2 Sam Adams that they had there during the games. And the whole other side of the place is all Eagles fans. I had to say it was maybe 60-40 Eagles and Pats fans. And the place is nuts. It was actually a pretty good Super Bowl looking back on it. Like if you're just if you're actually just a fan of the sport. I was wearing a Fitbit at the time. My heart rate was at 136.
Yeah.
I was sweating the entire time, pale, where the Pats actually started doing well when I stood up, and me being a superstitious nut.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I'm going to stand up the entire game. My girlfriend says, oh, there's 2 seats just open at the bar, and my friends are coming. This is the third quarter. My friends are coming, and I want you to meet them.
Fuck that.
No, thank you. I'm going to keep standing because the Patriots are doing well, and I'm going to watch the game. I'd
rather not. Yeah.
I get forced to sit down to save her friend a seat. And the first thing her friend says to me, not hello, not hi, was fuck Tom Brady. In my ear, spray talking.
Oh.
In my ear.
Can't do that anymore.
I never spoke to that friend again.
Good.
That she knows that one is dead to me. She's over there at all times, and I don't talk to her.
I'm the same way with games. Like I will, if I'm sitting down and it's not going well, I'll stand up. If they play well, I'm saying I don't move. Change jerseys. I'm a big channel flipper too. So if it's like Celtics are on, like NBC Sports, if they're also on TNT, if they're getting their ass kicked on NBC Sports, I'll flip to TNT, give that a shot.
Yeah.
Jerseys, super superstitious with jerseys, especially in football. I'll wear, and it's all based on game one. Now the Patriots don't lose a lot of week one games. So whatever I'm wearing during that game, if they win, if I'm not wearing a jersey and they win, no jerseys all year. If I'm wearing a jersey and they win, jerseys all year.
Yeah.
Just shit like that. But yeah, when it's other people, that's just like, and we'll get into unwritten rules later, but that's like that's an unwritten rule that's written in stone. I don't want to meet someone for the first time in my life during the third quarter of a Patriots Super Bowl. Outside of like, if maybe my kid was being born, that's fine. I'd like to meet him. Outside of that, I can't
celebrity
think of a scenario.
No,
they got to be pretty cool.
No.
If Michael Jordan was like, come down in the third quarter, let's chat for like 15
minutes. Mike, I'll call you back.
For one thing, Michael Jordan's probably watching the game because he has money on it anyway.
True.
Yeah. So that's if you told me like, hey, Scottie Pippen's over there.
He needs your money.
Yeah, I liked you when you were on the Blazers.
Yeah.
Stand over there.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I think that's a pretty slept on Super Bowl. That was a phenomenal game. That was one of Tom Brady's greatest games of all time. I think he threw like 550 yards.
They never punted.
And everyone shits on him for dropping that pass in like the second quarter.
But he's not a receiver.
And that's also one of the most irrelevant plays in the game. And
they had the lead.
To me, this whole time, Malcolm Butler's been getting thrown under the bus for losing that game. It was your fault the whole goddamn time.
Yeah, it was my fault. Actually, it was my fault. I'll get into that afterwards, but I have to tell you the tail end of the Super Bowl story.
Well, so obviously, spoiler alert.
No. What happened in the bar? And this is what made me hate Philadelphia even more.
Okay.
Pats get the ball back with about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Get the stat guy to check me on that time.
Stat guy?
We're losing. We're down a couple of points. We're not down.
Was it the drive he fumbled?
It was the drive he fumbles. A guy gets on top of the bar wearing a Brady jersey and looks at Eagles fans are going nuts. They're going bonkers.
Yeah.
He looks them all in the eye and goes, "You fucked up. You gave him too much time and the ball." Boom, boom, dink, dump, Chris Hogan. Every time Chris Hogan caught a pass in that game, which wasn't that often, my girl went to Penn State.
Oh.
So I would yell to her, "He played lacrosse at Penn State." And I'm like,
oh, you knew that? You've heard that mentioned on a telecast once or twice?
Once or twice. He's a great story. I also heard on a telecast that Julian Edelman used to be a quarterback in college. I didn't know that till yeah.
Oh, wait till I tell you about Antonio Gates.
Oh,
we'll save that for later.
Julian Edelman had long hair. There was all sorts of crazy shit going back. It was the early 2000s. What are you going to do?
We were nuts.
Dude, no fucking corona. You could spit on people. Like, hey, it was just a crazy world.
We used to actually go and see these games back then. So
back in the day.
Brady.
Yeah, okay. So that sounds like it's not off to a stellar start with Philadelphia.
I'm seeing this guy, and Tom Brady's the guy's on the bar. He's yelling, and Tom Brady's on the screen, and I'm like, fucking shit. He's going to do it again. Yeah. I'm like, this fucking guy is going to do it again. And I've always prayed for a Super Bowl that's a blowout for the Pats.
Never.
So happened. I could relax.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen. But I'm watching, like, and then he fumbles the ball. Plays goes nuts. People are throwing everything in the air. A guy in an Eagles costume, like an eagle, like a bird. Oh, yeah.
Shout out Sean Olston.
Gets on a bar and somehow got bottles of champagne.
Oh, God, I would
Proceeded to spray me in the face for 5 full seconds.
I don't know how you lasted another day in that time.
Now, my girl, diehard Eagles fan.
Yeah,
Same way with her parents, raised her to be, all that.
Oy.
She goes, I have to go call my dad.
Oy.
I went through Sox in 04. I understand that.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's true. Good point. First time, long time.
She makes me hold the purse.
Oh, Mark. Yeah. Jesus Christ, buddy.
I had no voice. Shot. I lost my voice in the second quarter.
So let's recap. Let's paint a picture for our radio listeners.
Sure.
Patriots just lose a devastating Super Bowl. That should be like the benchmark. That should be more than enough.
Yeah.
An asshole. Yeah. And meanwhile, you're in Philadelphia. Yeah. An asshole dressed like an eagle.
Yeah.
And I based off that very brief description, I know exactly what this guy looks like in my head. And I can hear him talking and doing this. And I hate him. Champagne, spraying it all over. People are going nuts. People are probably banging and God knows what kind of debauchery is going on in that place.
I just had blinders on. Like there was just like nothing.
I picture, like a big, like a wide angle. Yeah. And then like the noise deafens, and then it's like the zoom in on Mark's face, just like getting sadder and sadder.
It's like the end. It was
sprayed with champagne.
It was like the end of a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Exactly.
Like that. Exactly. That's exactly how it was.
Oh, that'd be a great clip if you had video evidence of that. Shout out VHS. Yep. Okay, and then that's just salt in the wound.
So I'm stuck inside holding the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
I also have to go into work the next day and plan for this terrible city to celebrate and dance more on my grave.
God, that parade was an absolute shit show, wasn't it?
I was at the parade. I'll tell you more about it in a second.
Oh, good God.
That night, I told her, like, I was getting in the Uber after,
How serious were you guys at the time, by the way? Know each other's parents, live together? Where are we at?
No, we've been.
Not even close? Very early?
Dating that November.
Oh, okay.
Who farted first?
She did. Okay. So I get the Uber, and I was like, listen, like, if your friends are still around, go out and celebrate with your friends. Go nuts.
I'm going to go kill myself.
Break stuff. Like, I get it. I understand ending of a drought, first championship. They're never as good as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go back with you. And this was a 30-second conversation where I'm like the natives are starting to congregate in the streets. And I'm like, I'm wearing the wrong colors.
Yeah.
So go, hey, no, I'm going to, okay. So we get in there.
You might catch a friendly.
We're lying. I'm lying down on my bed. She's lying next to me. And
nice.
She's like half asleep. I'm wide awake, just replaying the game in my head. And finally she just goes, do you want to talk about it? And I look at her and I said, listen, I love you. Does it look like I want to talk about it?
Yeah. Yep. That's just one of those I don't want to talk about it things.
I go into work the next day. My door of my office is covered with the scoreboard.
Oh, God.
I mean, I was a little pompous. I'm not going to lie. I'm a terrible winner, decent loser.
Mm-hmm. That's tough, though. That was like I'm trying to think. I remember that game. All these Super Bowls, that was up there. I don't know if it was number one, but that was up there where it's like I had like the most confidence we were going to win that game. That Philadelphia team did not scare me at all. I did.
They scared the shit out of me.
Not me. The Giants team scared me. Giants 2 scared me. Giants 1, obviously not. That team scared me. The Rams game, kind of, but it wasn't because the Rams were good. I was like, this Patriots team is just so run down.
Yeah, they were old and tired. I think we're going to lose. Yeah. And
they won an old and tired game. And then I guess the first one, because like, who's going to say I feel good about playing the Rams that first Super Bowl?
I can say this. I can say this with all conviction in the world that I wanted the Philly Super Bowl more than I wanted the undefeated season.
See, that's a good point. That's different. Like the undefeated season, maybe it was just too. And we've talked about this on the show before. It's like undefeated season mixed with a total underdog Super Bowl opponent. Fucking Eli Manning. It's like this is all just lining up for something crazy to happen, and they're going to lose this game. And something crazy happened, David Tyree, and they lost the game.
Well, I always thought that I knew it was going to be a close game, but I didn't think they were going to completely take Randy Moss out like they did.
Yeah.
And I thought Welker was going to have a better game.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that it's always a question that, me and my friends talk about all the time is, would you rather have 4 with the undefeated season or 6?
Oh, 6. The undefeated season is a complete afterthought. What, like, seriously? I think so. What do you think so? I think it's the overall number.
Being undefeated and having that. I mean, they still talk about the Dolphins and Don Shula's. Is he still
okay?
alive?
But it's like, I don't know. It's like that happened. That was what, 2007? That was 13 years ago. At this point, it's like if they won that year and then rebuilt or just weren't very good anymore, maybe. But it was whatever. It was just back to business the next day. It was just one other thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the bigger overall number. Yeah. Now they've had some heartbreaking losses, and not for nothing. I've heard this argument before. We talked about a Patriots blowout and how nice that would be.
Would be nice.
They could easily have lost Seattle. They should have lost Atlanta.
Yep.
What else? And those 3 early years were all late minute field goals. Like you could, there's a very good chance they could have no Super Bowls. Maybe the Rams Super Bowl last year, they just from beginning to end won the game. Everything else, I don't know. I mean, they've gotten, I don't want to say lucky, but certain things have happened at certain times that really helped. Russell Wilson throwing the ball at the 1 yard line certainly helped.
I think Belichick has like some sort of secret agreement with the NFL to always make the Super Bowl entertaining because for a while Super Bowls were blowouts.
Yes, they stunk.
And
they stunk. Great point. Those like 2000 Super Bowls outside of the Patriots were so bad.
Oh they were like you
Broncos,
would go to your friends.
Seahawks was awful.
That was even one of the later ones. I remember I remember Raiders, Buccaneers.
Yep.
But the year before that was dope. Rams Titans Super Bowl was one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen. And then it was just poopy. It was Raiders Bucks, Patriots got in the mix there, and then it was like Steelers Seahawks. The Bears went to the fucking Super Bowl one year.
Got blown out.
What
Steelers
else?
Cardinals. That was a good.
That was a great game. That was one of the best Super Bowls of all time.
Larry Fitzgerald should have been the MVP, even though he lost.
I've heard people argue that the Ben Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes touchdown arguably should be in the mention of the greatest Super Bowl plays of all time.
I can definitely see that, yeah.
I think it should be. It's one of, if you watch it, and it was on remember that NFL Network show, America's Game?
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
They break down that play. That throw, catch, and everything was one of the greatest plays of all time. Easily.
Speaking of memorable Super Bowl, you remember that whole Philly special?
Yeah.
Play?
Most overblown play of all time.
They have a statue?
Yeah.
Outside the stadium? And it's a lame one. It's not even Nick Foles catching it.
Let's get back to Philly.
If it's not Nick Foles catching it, then how do you commemorate that via statue?
It's Nick Foles.
Wait, it's not Nick Foles catching it?
No.
Oh yes, I've seen that. He's talking to Doug Peterson on the sideline.
Talking to Doug Peterson.
What a stupid fucking thing.
What?
You've never seen that? I've seen that. Oh,
that is so fucking dumb.
So stupid. But to Mark's point, what else are you gonna do? Just have a stat? Nick Foles doesn't deserve I get that. Because Nick Foles doesn't deserve a statue.
Nick Foles deserves a statue.
And deserves is a loose term.
Nick Foles doesn't
warrant. No. What?
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
Nick Foles should have a statue.
I actually think I agree with TKA.
I think that's the worst thing Not the worst thing I've ever heard. That's hyperbole.
I will also say this. If Nick Foles was still on the Eagles, they'd be a better team.
I don't know about
traded,
I'm 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is pretty dope when he's not injured.
But he always is.
Dude, when he's playing, he's great. When he's not, he stinks.
He's terrible. What a hot take.
He's awful. Just terrible. I mean, he just sits there. But no, I think this. I think if you're justifying Nick Foles deserving a statue, you're basically saying like this is it for us. Like you got to give it some. Like
it is.
Who has the statue? Okay, so that's not a good look on Philadelphia.
Nothing they do is really a good look.
Okay.
It's the whole
That's
point
fair.
of you having me on is to expose the fraudness of Philadelphia.
You're right. So let's keep going here. So that happens to you. That's a traumatic experience. That sucks.
Terrible. You want to go to the parade?
Please.
Okay. 4 a.m. I have to go down to Broad Street.
Next day? No, it wouldn't be the next day.
It was like
a few days later.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Afterwards. And I have to say, and this is not me. Once again, there are a lot of people in Philadelphia I have a lot of love for, and there are highlights of Philadelphia that I thoroughly enjoy. I have favorite bars there. I have favorite people there. I have favorite go-to spots there. But there's a lot of stuff that I call them out for. And this parade is one of them because, and listen, maybe the guy who's been to, let's see, 6, 4.
We'll be here a while.
10, 12?
Yeah. That's
12?
fucking wild.
Has a little bit of a different view of it.
Yeah.
But I actually felt bad for people that like walked all the way across the bridge from Jersey to check this out, who were waiting hours for Ubers and cars and driving and getting there early. Like I actually felt bad that I think the city did them wrong. I really honestly think that, and I think they actually deserve a better parade. The way that it was set up was Broad Street is this humongous street. It is a big thoroughfare going right to City Hall in Philadelphia, which, by the way, their City Hall actually looks really dope if you ever see it. It's a beautiful building. It's a big, like, I think there's 3 lanes on one side, 3 lanes on the other, and then there's like a median that's pretty wide. They have double-decker buses, which I never saw a double-decker bus in Philly before this, with the Eagles players on it. And the road, you cannot stand on the road. You can only be on the sidewalk. Businesses were not letting people inside to use their bathrooms or basically come in. Like the Wawa, which if you know Philly, they love Wawa. They were open, but only for like drinks. Like you couldn't get anything. And I'm like, this is kind of like, I remember waking up early and going to parades, and there would be like Dunkin' Donuts would be open and you could use their bathroom, and the bars would be open early and you could use their bathroom. And it was just kind of like, hey, this is a celebration. No one's going to really break anything.
Right.
We're all in a really good mood, and we're all still really tired from watching that game. They put the double-decker buses with the players on the opposite side of where half the people are. So if you were standing on the wrong side of Broad Street, you couldn't make out who any player was except Chris Long because he was wearing a fur coat. Yeah. Like that. And I was like, I'm watching, and they zipped by. Yeah. There was no slow roll. You go to one in Boston, and it's on a 1-lane street where you could throw a player a beer from both sides. You could probably even touch him if you were tall enough. Like, and you could see Tom Brady's stubble on his face when he's rolling by. I honestly
they go by super slow, like on those duck boats. I've been to 2 of those, and they, like, you have
hours
like
long.
A parade.
Yeah, you have like 10 minutes to look at each one.
The Macy's Day Parade, they don't floor it down Manhattan.
They were at least. I don't know if they were running late to get to the rally that was at City Hall, or was it Rocky Steps? I forget, but it was on like either the City Hall Plaza area or on the Rocky Steps, and they had to catch up and just make up for lost time for going slow at the start, I guess. But also, they went from the stadium, which is in South Philly, to Center City, which is like a 15-minute car ride when you're not in traffic. So it wasn't like they were going that far. But I'm like, some of these people took off work, called out of school, walked from a different state, and half of them can't see anything. You zip by. And then here was the best part. Philadelphia put cops and bike barriers in front of every alley, so people couldn't go in there and go to the bathroom. So while I'm standing to the back with, people all around me, making sure that our people that are on the mics at the radio station their signal is going through, and we're handing out stuff and everything, making sure everything's happy, everybody's happy. This woman comes up. I am to the back, like leaning on a glass window of Wawa. This woman comes up right next to me, drops her leggings, presses both cheeks up against the glass, and just lets nature do her thing. And I just...
Oh, what?
What's the point of pushing up against the glass?
I don't know. I think it was to stabilize her because she might have had a few too many Miller Lights. But
that would make it harder.
A minute. What are we talking here? Number 1 or number 2?
Number 1. Number 1.
I picture women
that's like
spreading cheek into like a wall. That doesn't make any sense.
An explosion.
That's an unnecessary border.
What a weird coincidence, because Dan was talking about having a tub girl as the picture of this episode.
My God. So interesting. So that, based on your description of the city, that sounds about right. So let's do this for time's sake. So I've had some one-off conversations with you about, sports fandom in the town. You've kind of hinted at a few things. So you lived through that nightmare. What is kind of your overall perception of Philadelphia sports fans in general? Are they diehard for certain teams? Are certain athletes in Philadelphia kind of looked upon, like in Boston? It's like, we praise guys like Big Papi and Larry Bird and Brady. Like, who are those guys in Philly? Either current or like all time.
It's definitely, it's probably like, insert Eagles player here. They're big on who's the center? Jason Peters? No.
Oh, Jason Kelsey?
Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
Big fan of him because he dressed up like something. Guys, Google this because this is.
I was going to bring it up. I remember he dressed up like a bird or something, or like a wrestling belt.
It's called a mummer.
Oh, excuse me.
It's a mummer. I can't explain really what it is, but they try to have a parade on New Year's Day after you're drunk on New Year's Eve, and it's kind of cool. And he dressed like that. He's like, I bought in. I'm all about Philly, and he's riding his bike, and he's wearing this ridiculous outfit. Definitely Google it if you haven't seen it. In fact, you know what? Make that the picture of this episode.
Okay.
Of him in that outfit. Just to make it easy for everybody. They like him. Joel Embiid is really high on the list.
Where is it between Embiid and Simmons?
Joel Embiid is definitely the favorite between him and Simmons. You'll see more Embiid jerseys than Simmons. They love JoJo. JoJo also likes it there. Like, he'll be running in the streets at 4:00 in the morning, and he's like running, getting in shape, high-fiving people. Like, he loves the city.
I have a hard time believing any of those things you just mentioned.
There is video proof of Joel Embiid running it right when he was coming back from his injury. He was running in the streets of Philadelphia at 4:00 in the morning.
5 years ago. Got you. Okay, cool.
No,
gotcha.
Like,
no, I know.
20.
Okay. And then you mentioned they don't like Bryce Harper, right?
The people I talk to do not like Bryce Harper.
Okay. And then what else? Are they a big hockey town? So are you saying, like, as far as teams go? Okay.
Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers.
Eagles, Sixers. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
I can see that.
Yeah. Sixers winning would be almost as big a deal as the Eagles winning.
Okay. Well, I don't think I would.
Hockey's very cultish there. Very cultish.
That's sounds like most towns, actually.
Yeah, I mean, but you go to
in America.
Yeah, you go to Boston, we wear it. New York wears it. They have different ones. LA, big hockey town. Despite what people say, like, I know a bunch of people from LA who have season tickets.
Okay.
They go to games and they are invested in the games.
So let me ask you this. What are some things you miss from Philadelphia? What's one thing you miss from Philadelphia?
Some people I know.
Okay. That's a good answer.
That's it.
What are the worst things about Philadelphia that you don't miss? That you would run into on like a daily basis? Like, I can do without this.
The accent.
Okay.
That accent is brutal.
Awful.
What's Philly accent? What are some Philly words?
Wooter.
Okay.
John. Jawn.
For what?
I really can't explain it. It's kind of like a forget about it. It means a lot of things. It's like the word it.
I was about to say that
John?
word means anything, and you can only
Use it in
determine
a
what
sentence.
it means by the sentence.
That John, hot as hell.
I was about to say, yeah.
I still don't know what
was
you're
about to say
talking
that.
about.
A girl.
It's not a girl. It can be anything.
Got you.
Any single thing. Like, hey,
I've never heard that.
I'm eating a delicious sandwich. Yo, that John good.
Oh, got you. Okay. So it's like that shit's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I've never heard that one. Shout out Johns all over the country.
Yeah, shout him out.
Okay. So interesting. So again, that's an interesting perspective. We've talked about this before, I think, with guests. I've always thought it was, and your story's kind of leaning me the other way, but I've always respected sports fans outside of their hometown. You know, for example, like if like I know like Dallas Cowboys fans, or I know like Lakers fans who live here, whatever. I think it's different because in New England, I think especially New England, it's hard to tell if you're a real fan or not. Because just because you live, everyone loves Tom Brady, everyone loves the Red Sox. You can buy the clothes, whatever. Yeah. If I'm wearing, I don't know, like fucking Minnesota Timberwolves gear, and I have Minnesota Timberwolves NBA League Pass, living in New Hampshire, you know I'm a Timberwolves fan. I'm not just doing that shit to fit in with everyone else.
Right.
So, but to your point, did you like that? Did you enjoy walking around talking Patriots, talking Red Sox to a bunch of Philly?
There are a lot of smart Philly sports fans. There are a lot of them. They know their faults. They are realistic people. They know that Ben Simmons should not be in the same room as certain other NBA players. And then there are ones who are there's more delusional ones than there are real ones. But I was lucky enough to talk to a lot of intelligent sport. I was at a podcast for one. We're trying to figure that out. And
that'd be sick. You should.
We used to just have conversations in our old boss's office, and it would just be about, he would start the topic just because he would laugh at the stuff that we would say. But there are a lot of intelligent Philadelphia sports fans. They are, for the Eagles, they are very invested. They really know how to spell Eagles well.
Very well. I've seen it. I've heard it.
They really hit that L.
Eagles and Jets fans have spelling down pat.
They'll
let you know about it.
Only word they can't spell.
Mark, I've got a question for you.
Hit me.
Sorry, no, actually, finish up, and I got a good question for you.
A lot of them are delusional, though. Like that.
I think most real fans are to some point.
Well, they actually think that, and this is and this was honestly me just not understanding what they were talking about. Like the actual hatred towards Boston sports teams, I did not understand.
No, I don't follow.
I was like, we barely play you.
Joel Embiid said himself, this shit isn't a rivalry. This John ain't a rivalry.
This John ain't a rivalry.
We kick our Johns every year.
Every day. You know, that John ain't fun.
John ain't fun.
But these
Johns ain't loyal.
There's a lot of them that like know that they whiffed on some people actually think, and I actually took a screenshot of this. I don't know if you saw it. But it was the guy who was the Sixers fan who said Tobias Harris is better than Jason Tatum. That's
hot
wrong.
take. I was going to ask you, were you in Philly during the Tatum draft?
Yeah, I was. I was.
That's excellent. Shout out Markel Fultz.
I was in Philly at a bar in a place called Manayunk, which is kind of like the Dover or the Somerville.
Called Mae Young?
Manayunk. Oh. They have a lot of weird names. Like you think I say like New England has a lot of weird names for towns. Yeah. I lived in a town called Bala Cynwyd, but it was spelled BALA space CYNWYD. That's not how you spell it. Me there.
That's just misspelled.
Made up name.
Conshohocket.
Sure. Yeah.
There was also, I think Manayunk, but that is like Manayunk was actually a fun drinking town because it was right near a college, and they had a lot of like people sitting outside and just random seats and drinking, and they had dog bowls for the dogs. It was a cool town. I watched the confetti game at a bar there, and I saw a guy. This guy was head to toe. I'm just there wearing a black Celtics hat backwards. I'm not wearing anything else that's showing the colors. I'm just
neutral, pretty neutral.
I'm just there watching a game.
Neutral from the neck down.
That's it. I'm just wearing the one. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Because we have Hayward out and we have Kyrie out.
Yep.
My first day in Philadelphia is when Gordon Hayward broke his leg.
Boy,
So-
tough start.
So that was also your fault then.
He has broken his leg.
Listen,
Yep.
everything bad happens in Boston sports teams if I'm not in Boston.
Yes. So far, 2 for 2. Or 0 for 2, however you want to look at it. Yeah.
In Boston, Pats
Were
win
you
Super
doing a
Bowls.
quick flyover the other night when Gordon Hayward twisted his ankle again?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't. I wasn't my Celtics group chat saying how much I hate Gordon Hayward. I'm not a Gordon Hayward fan. I feel bad for the guy.
We'll save that for later. Save that for another time. But okay.
But
Okay.
confetti game. There's a guy sitting at the bar in the full red Joel Embiid outfit. White kid who was shorter than me. I'm 5'9" on a good day.
Yeah.
He's wearing the jersey and the shorts and the high socks with some pretty nice Jordans on.
It's an
And
interesting
he
look.
is – it's like a 4 o'clock game too.
Yeah,
So
I remember that. Yep.
it's like a Saturday. I think it was on Cinco de Mayo, actually. And
Probably.
people are just having a good time watching the game. And I'm in a bar that has like a little TV, and I'm just watching it. And this guy is one person away from me, and he is saying every word in the swearing dictionary at the television, cussing up and down. And the whole time I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to my Sixers friends saying, you should be kicking our ass.
Mm-hmm.
We have nobody.
Mm-hmm.
We don't belong on the court with you. And the shot, confetti comes down, and I said it. They know it's tied, right?
Yeah.
Place went nuts. Everybody's waiting, and I'm like laughing, like it's a tie game, and then we blow them away in overtime. So
Yeah. That was
one of my. The Celtics have been very good to me since I've known about the city of Philadelphia. Thank
Good
you,
stuff.
Jason.
Well,
Tatum.
I assume
Sophie,
that
what
was
was
like
your
a bar.
question?
I was gonna say I assume that was a bar full of diehard Marco Bellinelli fans. So
For one
hard to
for,
Philadelphia.
for one play.
But,
Play.
what I was gonna ask is, so which of the teams have you attended their games in Philadelphia? Did you go to any?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I went to a couple of Phillies baseball games. My girlfriend dragged me to a Phillies Braves game when the Celtics were in Game 7 of the Bucks against the Bucks, the year of the confetti.
Round 1?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Wow,
Okay.
she kind of sucks, bro. Early
No,
on.
she's great. She's
She
awesome.
is. She's great person.
Well,
She does
But that
not.
kind of sucks.
She does not care about my teams, and she lets me know it every day.
That's kind of cool. I can't imagine like dating or being in a relationship with a different sports. If she actually likes sports and actually likes the team, that must be pretty tiring.
I really pray that I never play a Philly team in the playoffs. Like, she doesn't care about the Six. She doesn't care about basketball. She doesn't care about hockey.
Okay.
I tried to get her more involved in hockey.
Uh-huh.
Because the Bruins are always in the playoffs, and I'm like, listen, your team is actually
Pretty good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You should probably. No, I never grew up watching it.
Mhm.
I don't really know anything about basketball. I don't know anything about hockey. I was like, well, you can learn. Like, I've never played a game of hockey in my life. I've been on skates like once in my life. I'm terrible at hockey, but I know the sport just from watching it.
Yeah.
And it's a great sport, especially in the playoffs.
Go
Let
ahead.
me see this. This is my follow-up question to you attending the games. What was the closest you ever came to, or maybe you heard through the grapevine and it was like a story that wasn't reported, in the newspaper or anything? But like, I've seen stories of Philly fans throwing batteries at people, throwing like jugs of ketchup and mustard. I'm not making that up. Like, I've seen those stories. Did you ever hear of anything crazy like that? A Philly
You
fan
ever get caught in the
completely
crossfires?
unruly?
I've never got caught in the crossfires. I think that a lot of that is overblown. I remember the guy at the Eagles, after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, eating the horse shit off the ground.
I remember that story.
Damn.
Great story.
The day of the Super Bowl, the city went around. The day of the Super Bowl, the city actually went around and greased up every lamp pole and light, like every kind of like
I remember that.
object to keep people up. They
started that. Remember? Now they do that shit on like clinching games.
Yes.
They go around and like
The
grease
shit
up
eating or the
poles.
pole? Oh, okay.
Well,
Both.
that's a long-standing tradition.
Well, I was gonna say that is kind of copied from the Cavs fan who did that when they
maybe that's what
won
I'm
the
thinking of.
Warriors.
I remember a fan eating
Someone
shit
ate
off
like
the
horse
ground.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the video of the guy in Eagles gear.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the video of the Eagles fan yelling in the Vikings fan's face, "Go Birds!" Which I think is the funniest.
That's the one I remember.
You know what? It's the
I don't remember the
funniest
Cavs
video
one.
if you see it.
Yeah.
But
seriously, they show like it's that classic shot. Here's how like sports has changed. So think about this. They show it's like game 6 clinching and the team to win is up like 20 or something. And it's like, all right, here's a live shot of the streets of whatever. They're ready to go. And they're like chained. They have like horses ready to go. Cops like SWAT patrol cars, and they're greasing poles so people don't climb up them and kill themselves. Before that, the cliche thing was showing like the champagne in the locker rooms and like taping off. That's the last thing you'd ever want to see as a sports fan. No. Get that shit off my screen.
Get it off. I don't want to see it.
There's no reason for me to see that right now. It never goes well. So many times. Just terrible.
I've never seen the new thing that they're doing. And I actually tip my cap to them on this. The new thing that Phillies fans are doing are they're driving to Citizens Bank Park with blowhorns. What's that? Like the foghorn? What is?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And every time the opposing pitcher is about to throw a pitch, they just wail on their horns.
Really?
They're outside of the
Can you hear it in the stadium?
You can hear it if you're watching the game.
Jeez,
that sounds like an unwritten rule.
Scandalous. I haven't seen that one written down yet.
They did it against I guess they started doing it against the Yankees.
Okay.
And I guess like the manager of the Yankees went up to the umpires and was like, "We got to find a way to make them stop." And I'm like,
"This has to stop.
No,
this is chaos.
They're going to be climbing poles next.
They're going to be eating shit and climbing poles. Someone's got to stop this."
I will say it though. They're like
a Saturday night in Philly.
It's a great place to go watch a baseball game, but there's the thing like comparing Yankee Stadium, Fenway, all these places that are more in the city, Wrigley.
Yeah.
The sport arenas are a little bit back from downtown Philadelphia.
I see.
You leave Fenway, you leave the Garden, you leave Yankee Stadium, you leave Wrigley, you can go to a bar and you can keep it going. They just have that one little Xfinity Live area where you can like drink, but even that hits capacity. So I feel like some Philly fans actually get cheated out of the full fandom, like the full sports, and that is really I have a soft spot in my heart for Philly fans. It's this big.
Well, it's part of your life now. It's part of your story. It's something you lived through. Now you're back. You probably have no reason to go back. Well, your girlfriend's family lives there, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys go back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do what you got to do. Let's do this. Let's transition a little bit because I know there are a couple quick things we wanted to hit on. This one I want to hit on quickly because I know Soapy wants to touch on something too. But you resurfaced this video to our attention on Twitter today. The Nick Wright take on Jason Tatum from May of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think, I don't want to talk about that because that's just a waste of time to argue that. But Soapy and I have been kind of going back and forth with a certain demographic on Twitter. And it's like, I'm sure you've got caught in these ropes before too. There's a weird, and we've talked about this before, NBA Twitter is a great place. I love it.
Great place.
A lot of great memes, a lot of great takes.
Fun.
It's a really good time. If you haven't been there, Soapy will include the coordinates in the show notes. It's a great place to check out.
Yeah.
COVID friendly,
good
social distancing, great
good
place for the family.
Spot.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's the closest you'll get to the bubble.
Absolutely. There's a fine line between fans talking sports, and then there's like this demographic of like stat nerds. And they're mostly like they're either between the ages of 12 and 17 or like 40 and up. And it's like, you say one little thing, like the example me and Soapy got caught in the middle of. I don't know if you pulled it up or not, because I don't remember, Soapy, but something along the lines of like Dame Lillard versus Steph Curry as far as like long distance threes and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think it's close. Like I think it's Steph Curry. Like he's the one who I consider
like threes from 30 plus feet essentially.
But that was that number wasn't even brought up yet. It was like, who's a better 3-point shooter, which is pretty much what
Steph
it is.
Curry.
Okay. That's what I said. And I was like, I'm going to go with Steph. I remember now. It was like one of those 4 pictures of Steph, Trae Young, Damian Lillard, and like some other new guy. And I was like, I would go I literally tweeted, I think Steph Curry. And then I said, subtweet, recency bias might say Dame, but Steph's been doing this for a long time. Holy shit. Like, kids would come in, well, actually, over the last 60 games, Damian Lillard is actually shooting 47.8% from 35 feet and beyond. Steph Curry only shot fucking 32% from this, and that. I'm like, whoa. Just watch the tape. This is Steph Curry's thing. Like, he's been doing this long before you kids have been watching this shit. Yeah. And it just made me think, like, there is such a thing as the eye test versus, like, stats. And it's like, I don't need to see the stats. I've seen Steph Curry 8 years ago dribble the ball up, pull up from 40 feet, and shoot, like, 30% from that. That was considered a good shot.
He's been doing it since
Dame can do it, too. Exactly. It's like, dude, this is crazy.
It's two different games.
It's 100%.
Steph's game and Dame's game are close, but they're not the same game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're different positions, and they're on different teams with different offenses, where it's Dame versus the world, and then it's Steph and the boys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also 9 times out of 10, like sometimes Dame needs to make that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Dame will let you know when he hits that shot. And I like Dame. But
I like Dame too. Dame kind of has a little bit of Kobe in him, where he knows when he
more than Steph does, 100%.
Where he needs to put it on his shoulders because he knows who's around him. And listen, I've been cheering for Dame. I think you and me kind of went back and forth on this, where it was like Phoenix was like this great story, and I wish they made it to the playoffs just so I could see what they could do. Yep. And then I'm like, but it's Dame's time now.
I agree. Yep, so that's fair.
But so Dame needs to make that shot more. Steph doesn't need to make that shot every time. He can.
He just does it. It's just part of his repertoire.
Yeah, and I think he almost does it like you said, TK. Like Dame does it because he has to, and that's the best shot that he can get because once he crosses half court, like people double him.
He's getting double and tripled sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Steph almost does it recreationally to be like. Well, this is kind of fun shooting from here, and I'm gonna make it.
well, Steph also at the same time. I wonder how much in Steph's if that was garbage time he's making those just to keep the clock going and the game going.
There is some
because Steph is gonna be on a one-on-one, maybe zone defense because they also have to respect Klay Thompson coming off a pick and roll. Dre is in the paint, scooping up everything and then putting it back. They had KD.
That was
drawing two people. Even if they didn't, though, they were, you still have to respect the two others that are still there. And
Steph was honestly doing it like toying with people. That's how good he was at it.
Yeah, he's
he was just like, correct. I'm going to shoot this from 35 because I'm probably going to make it.
It's similar to when you talked about like the Super Bowl, Tom Brady. It's like, oh, you gave Tom way too much time. 3 seconds left on the clock. From an inbound from half court with the Warriors and any other team are two completely different things. That's garbage time. Anyone else? The Warriors, that's enough time for Steph to take a meaningful shot. Yeah. And he'll make some of those shots. They're all over YouTube. But that's besides the point. It's just like, I think there's athletes out there where I don't need to see the stats and they might say this guy's better than that guy. Like Tom Brady's a classic example. His stats are never going to be up there outside of like 07 and shit like that. Maybe outside of last year, it's intangible. There's just no one else you want. It's like, I've seen him do this so many times. I don't need to see what someone else can do instead.
But that's
why I was okay with him. He left. It was you could say it was his decision. But before that, it's like, I don't need to see what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. I don't need to see what Ryan Mallett can do. I don't care what they can do. I've seen enough from this guy. It clearly doesn't matter how old he is. He's going to get it done. Right. I don't need I don't need fantasy stats. I don't need all this other bullshit. But the one with Steph is just like, okay, watch this 2-minute highlight video and tell me this guy isn't the fucking GOAT.
But this also transitioned into how baseball became unfun. It's just all this sport. Like I came up as the baseball was my favorite sport. Obviously, it's football now, but baseball, I'll still watch them. I don't know why I choose to keep watching this team.
It's hard.
That's the stuff that kind of is ruining the fun of baseball now is, you got to shift and there's a percentage chance of this and launch angles and people are throwing stats at you so much.
Too many analytics.
That I just miss. And that's why I'm actually a Padres fan because Tatis is actually making the game fun again. And if I was in his shoes and I'm not getting my big money yet, and I get a 3-0 meatball thrown at me with bases loaded, I'm putting that in the parking lot.
See ya. Yep.
And that is what is fun. Mm-hmm. Dame getting double teamed, shooting it, that is the fun. When people start throwing stats at you too much, it's like, dude, I just want to watch the game.
Yeah, you have to ignore watch all the other stuff and just watch the game.
Right. And it's the same with like media. Like, I don't want to throw in a 2-hour podcast or a 2-hour show and hear a stat breakdown of the game. That doesn't interest me. I want to hear people debate or talk about the game and storylines. That's one of the best part of a sport, storylines that come from the game. You know, the next game on a Monday, I don't need to hear about, what, I don't know, fucking Kirk Cousins' stat line was. I want to hear about whatever. They won here. This leads to this. There's a rivalry coming up, whatever it may be. I don't know. There's just so much out there now because, well, I guess ourselves included, anyone can have a platform and just do whatever they want. I think it's nice to have a different, and again, it can go too far because we talked about this too. And I bet, I know for a fact, like COVID and sports stoppage had a lot to do with this too. But boy, there were some times, like if it wasn't for The Last Dance, I don't know how these like morning debate shows would have stayed on the air. Like they were deep in their pocket about things to talk about with nothing going on.
That shows who's the talented ones and who aren't. But
100%.
I will say this, more. Just also piggybacking off that, there is this beautiful line you can walk between too much like with stats and just enjoying the game. Like, and I'll give you an example. Like 2013, David Ortiz is coming up against Benoit against the Tigers. They throw up the stat that Ortiz doesn't have a hit against him, and I'm like, okay. If now he gets the hit, that was perfect timing.
Yeah.
That is the stuff in stats. That's
I agree.
The stuff
Good point.
that makes, this is even better. It's his first thing against. It's a grand slam. We're tied. Yep. That's the enjoyment. So you can walk this stat line. But if I hear WAR one more time.
VORP?
WAR stinks.
WAR. We haven't talked about your VORP.
Yeah.
VORP.
Don't make me bring it up.
You can see my VORP on VHS.
Well,
QB
I was going to say like
QBR.
That's why I posted that rant yesterday on Twitter. I was just like, this is so fucking annoying that shows can't just talk the way that they used to talk because they have to find these really niche arguments, which usually are derived from comparing people that can't be compared to each other. Different eras.
That's the worst.
Stats that like the average person doesn't care about. Basically, the way that I would put it is if you look at like the ESPN app when you go to check a score and you click on at first they show like 5 categories of the box score or 5 stats. Then you can click on something that says like show all stats. If the stat that you want to talk about isn't in a box score, I couldn't be less interested. It's going to be something. It's going to be something like that, like WAR, VORP.
What is VORP?
Player efficiency rating, plus minus. I don't give a shit. Just if you watch the game and understand the sport, you don't need those numbers.
I like plus minus.
I get
if
it.
If someone tells me a plus minus at the end of the day, I'll like respect it. But no, it's pretty simple. I mean, if you look at an NBA box score, points, rebounds, assists. Football is driven by fantasy. So it's yards, touchdowns, whatever. Baseball, 3 for 4 with a home run. Great. I don't need to know what Jackie Bradley Jr. is hitting against left-handed relief pitchers from the AL Central from 2018 to present.
Or that's his hot zones, like where they divide the strike zone into a grid of 9 boxes.
MLB The Show shit right there.
Yeah. And I'm just like, come on, dude. We don't give a fuck. The problem is that it's actually found a place in actual leagues because in baseball there's Moneyball.
Good point.
In basketball it actually started with the Grizzlies, that guy John Hollinger. I want to say that he was like an executive with them, but essentially he started like a pretty big move into analytics, and now the teams like take a lot of stock in that stuff, and that's why I like the Celtics. Like Brad Stevens is always like, it doesn't matter how many 3-pointers we take. If it's an open shot, we take it because shooting, what is it, like 20% from 3 is better than shooting 30% from 2. I'm sure I fucked those numbers up, but it's something like that. And it's like, God damn it, why don't you just like go to the basket or something? It's to a certain extent, it's actually affected the gameplay.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, analytics are important, and I say that I am a fan of analytics. I read the book Moneyball. I enjoyed the movie. I'm, Billy Beat's my guy. But I will say that analytics, just like everything, it's people taking it a little too far.
Yeah.
And then eventually it will go back the other way, where just like all trends.
But if it wasn't for analytics, especially in like baseball, you would still be seeing guys who are 32 years old signing 8-year deals that are worth $20 million a year.
Yeah.
I know this, and we've talked about this on the show as Celtics fans. From 2010 to 2 years ago, you can throw all the NBA statistics and analytics at me. I just knew at the end of the day, if LeBron James was on the other team, that team's going to go to the finals.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Hey,
that's a scientifically proven analytic. What else do you need to know? Because everything else would say otherwise.
Celtics Twitter, I love you. I love Celtics Twitter the most, but the green teamers that keep pumping the semi-Ogilvy tires is like, yeah, dude.
That's good.
Hey, he's great in the gym. I love it. I love how great he is.
He's great at working out.
Combat muscles.
He's like the Michael Bishop of the Celtics.
Yeah. Well, dude, look at one of the biggest trending things from going to the bubble was Zion's workout pictures. He looked fucking ripped. He looked like a freak. He showed up fat, out of shape, and the Pelicans somehow didn't make the playoffs. Like, they had everything going for it. They had a cake schedule. And then, he played 10 minutes a game and couldn't cut it. So, okay, sorry, my bad. I guess I didn't read deep into the analytics that, we shouldn't lean on an overweight 19-year-old kid who's coming off an ankle injury. But my bad. Let's do this. Let's wrap up here. Soap, did you want to jump into?
Yeah, because Marc mentioned Fernando Tatis.
Great guy.
Is he a junior?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Birdman JR.
Yeah. Everyone knows the story at this point about how he hit the 3-0 pitch for a grand slam. What
an asshole.
Do you guys remember the score?
It's like
7-0. No,
it was like a pretty big.
No, they were up by a lot.
Yeah. It was a blowout, and it was at the end of the game. So supposedly he broke an unwritten rule to the point where his manager came out and apologized on his behalf, which is fucking dumb. But anyways, I've got some unwritten rules that I would love to hear Marc's take on. Now, these are
how many do you have?
I have 7. We'll run through them quick.
7 works. Sometimes he starts these rants and he's like, all right, I have 22 of these written down. Let's run through them real quick. But no, go ahead.
Now, Marc, some of these are popular sports. Some of these are not popular sports.
I love this segment.
I like both of those.
Brought to you by VHS.
Yes, this is also sponsored by VHS.
VHS hotline.
First one. One of my least favorite unwritten rules is that you're not allowed to put someone in checkmate on the first move in chess, even when you can.
I haven't run into that one.
I'm
not that great at chess. You know what they say? I'm playing checkers when everyone else is playing chess.
Yeah.
Which doesn't get me off to a great start. So
No.
I heard the one that, unlucky in chess, lucky in love. So I guess I'm lucky in love because I've never won a game of chess that I've ever played in my life.
You've probably been on the wrong side of this.
I've never lost on the first move.
That's always
3-hour games that I lose, and somehow I just have a king left.
So that's like playing pickup when you check.
Yeah.
No pun intended. When you check and just shoot a 3 without passing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, bro, come on, son.
It's just a
chess question. We do have a big chess following.
Yeah. Chess
Does
Twitter,
anyone on here or anyone listening, and don't bullshit me either. Don't look it up. Don't be whatever. Do you have any idea what like the little timer thing means on the side? Like when actual people play chess?
Yeah, that's how long you have to make a move.
Yeah.
That's a real thing?
Yeah.
I don't think
they also log their moves sometimes.
No, that's definitely not it.
They actually have like a book. They have a book next to like a little notebook next to the clock where they actually are logging their moves.
I don't know if that.
I can't tell if he's being serious. I'm telling you.
No, he's on something. It's in the newspaper. You guys ever? There's.
I don't read newspapers.
I wish I had one. I haven't either.
Or the chess section.
But
we're talking about chess and newspapers.
You do.
In 2012.
Shout out COVID-19. You do agree or understand there was at one time a newspaper where you get news.
Yeah.
There was I think it was like the crossword section or maybe the sports section. I swear to God.
They had a little chessboard.
Outline like chess moves back and forth, and you would read a game of chess.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember it.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds scintillating.
That's my point. They don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
There's nothing better
Brought
than
to you by
kicking back,
VHS.
pouring an ice cold Pabst Blue Ribbon, and reading a
Schlitz.
game of chess.
I always had a couple of Schlitzes when I enjoyed my chess reading.
Yep. Honey, I read a great chess match last
Did you?
night.
He moved his bishop to Queen
what?
5.
Did you read? Did you read that chess match in today's? No, I'm saving that for my bathroom trip later.
I got. Honey, it's next to the jumble.
You threw it away.
Well,
Okay, that's a good one.
It was like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Second one. Clutch free throws coming up at the line.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this rule was written at one point, and then they decided, we have too many rules. We got to take this one out.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to flash someone when you're at the free throw line.
I wish they'd bring that back.
Yeah.
That's just defense. That's good defense.
It's called the Patrick Ewing rule for some reason.
Well, also,
that is a good point. I'm curious what would stop you as a fan. The classic seat, right down Broadway.
Oh,
right?
I meant the players.
No, I know that. I'm
Okay.
talking about fans.
we knew that when you said the Patrick Ewing rule.
Yeah.
There's many people listening.
If you were like a diehard fan, I guess it'd make more sense if you were a woman. Diehard fan, Game 7 of the finals, your team's up 1, no time on the clock, LeBron's at the line.
I'm flashing.
What would the penalty be to just do a quick flash?
Well, I get.
Get thrown out? Arrested for ludency?
Listen, I was a security guard at Fenway for a few years, and I saw some stuff.
Sure.
I've never seen a young lady who decided to flash the opposing team, but I think
baseball's different.
I don't.
They did. Remember the World Series? Those two chicks
They
did.
in Houston.
Nothing really happened.
No,
They got that was a huge publicity. They got.
We would eject them.
Yeah.
Like get out
right
of the
this way, ladies.
Get out of the camera view and watch the game up here because we don't feel like doing the paperwork, and we actually support what you did.
I have a question. Have any of you guys ever sat in those seats? Like you're on TV?
Yeah.
You have. So if I'm watching TV, I can see you there.
I have.
In basketball.
In basketball, no.
That's what I meant.
Said.
Oh,
in baseball,
I'm in. Okay, in basketball, if I'm watching someone take a free throw, you're on camera. I can see you in your seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they take all those people aside and have to have a pregame conversation about hey, there's some do's and don'ts about.
Put them away.
Pep talk.
Put them away, you kids.
Keep it under wraps.
Let me read
Keep
my
the middle
chess.
fingers
Let me read
down.
about my chess game while you're doing that.
And enjoy. Enjoy the game.
This all goes full circle. You remember the guy who flipped off Russell Wilson after he was doing a layup and the guy flipped him off right in his face?
Yes.
Philadelphia.
Okay, here we go. Flip it.
Philadelphia.
Are they big Always Sunny fans down there?
There's not a lot of them, but that show is a perfect testimony of what Philadelphia is. Yes.
I figured. All right, so go ahead. That was a good one. You don't see that.
No.
Very often.
Certainly don't. Next one. This you'll typically see at a backyard cookout, 4th of July type thing. But if you got a mud wrestling match, I guess it used to be a big problem where people kept bringing their own mud. So
BYOM.
It's very frowned upon. And I don't know if you guys have seen that or what your thoughts are on.
It's very regulated sport. So it's not just any mud. It's regulation, certain amount of soil, certain amount of water, mix it together. Let's keep it clean.
Plus, people have allergies. You don't know what minerals are in every kind of mud. You're really just playing it safe. Let the professionals handle this.
Especially nowadays with everything going on.
Right.
Exactly, Mark. Let us do this right.
I assume that they ship it in from the primo mud companies.
It's not just mud you pick up at Lowe's.
Yeah. What is the primo mud nowadays? What? Peru?
Domestically, I would say Cleveland, Ohio. Or back alley, Philadelphia.
Hey, this is why this show has a perfect rating on 30 ratings. Just put that out there.
All right, what else you got?
Great stats on your ratings, by the way.
Yeah,
thanks.
Thank you. In underwater beer pong, how you can't re-rack in the middle of a turn.
Yeah. Yeah,
Never like that.
That's
So
just,
fucking bullshit.
That's a
That's
tough
just being
game
a-
to begin with.
if you're gonna
But-
play the game, play it right.
Play the right way.
You know,
Yep.
You never re-rack in the middle of it. Like you're breaking somebody's concentration, you're breaking somebody's hot streak. If they can get that going at 10 fathoms down, you keep it going until they miss.
I remember.
What kind of world are we living in?
The worst like beer pong memory that I had was playing at the bottom of the Charles River. It must have been like 20 feet deep, and this is like a 30-minute long game.
Mhm.
And we were on the verge of victory, down to 1 cup, and the other team like still had to hit 4 cups against us, hits 1 and then tries to re-rack, and then we all had to come up for air. And I was just like, dude, I'm so fucking
I'm
pissed
out.
that you would even try that.
I can't believe that.
Yep. Love the game. It'll love you back.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah.
What
In
else you got?
boxing, how technically people don't really like it when you accidentally kill your opponent.
Yeah. I mean, some really good movies have been based off that though.
Great. All the best boxing movies, someone gets killed.
Have a death in there. Yeah.
Rocky IV, Bloodsport, that other boxing movie, and that other one.
Yeah, the Karate Kid.
No one dies in Karate Kid.
There's also no boxing in Karate Kid.
Did you?
That's
did you,
true. A lot of karate.
Not on the VHS copy of the Karate Kid that I have.
Mm. Director's
Miyagi,
cut.
Miyagi gets it in the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
I assume this would actually warrant an apology afterwards, at the very or a eulogy.
Well, that has
Actually-
happened. People have died in boxing matches.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's
So I
definitely
would
frowned
assume-
upon that you were the
If-
person that did that. to that person.
If I was the spouse of a boxer who was killed, I don't know if I would expect an apology. I would certainly appreciate one.
I wouldn't expect one, nor would I probably want one, because I know what he's getting into or she's getting into.
That's a tough business. Being a boxing wife or a boxing husband.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Legally, I'm curious. Obviously, you're not going to go to jail for murder, but
Yeah.
it's so weird how that happens in between these two bells. And then outside of that, if I do it, I go to jail for the rest of my life.
Well, I'm sure if you tackle somebody in the middle of the street, you can also go to jail too. So
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
shout out Philly.
Football's, shout out Philadelphia. It's another day.
Yeah.
All right.
2 more.
Okay.
In
Utah, give me 2.
now, this is a really popular sport: deer hunting.
Yes.
When you're really, I guess you're like really supposed to aim away from their genitals because otherwise it spoils the meat.
Mm.
And I was reading a book. I didn't do a ton of research. I guess the rule is that you're supposed to aim at like one of their back hooves, and that should do it. Thoughts?
None.
You lost me here. So I don't understand what the rule is you're not writing. So don't shoot at their genitals
Right.
Yeah.
and shoot at their hooves.
Yes.
No, that can't be the most direct way to kill a deer.
No.
That wouldn't
No.
be my guess.
I
One shot kill.
yeah. I can't move my computer, but I got proof in the kitchen.
It would behoove me to
Wow.
think that that's the truth. Shout out puns. Shout out Big
Puns
Pun.
are great. Yeah, puns are great. R.I.P. Big pun.
Shout out Tom Tupa, one of the greatest punters of all time. I don't know.
And greatest third string quarterback of all time.
Julian Edelman used to be a quarterback. in
I didn't
college.
know that.
Damn. Okay.
It's a fact. I don't have enough energy to spend on this one. I don't know. I guess if people still want to do that, I'm not going to complain.
It
I'll put
just
it that way. To each his own.
okay. You seem
So
to have
how do
very-
you know? How do you know if it spoils the meat though? Have we each tasted spoiled deer meat?
Soapy has.
we don't like to bring this up on the show, but
Okay.
for you,
Peter's
this
going to
one
roast
special
us for this
time,
one.
Yes, you don't want to eat the meat of an animal that was taken down by way of private parts.
Have you
It's-
seen the movie Bambi?
It's very gamey.
On
Mark?
VHS, I have, yes.
It-
I've seen Bear.
It's loosely based on Soapy's life, so
Got it.
we don't really like to go too far into that.
Okay. My condolences, Sophie.
Thank you.
Make deer hunting great again.
Save the nuts.
Save the nuts.
Yeah.
Good point. A lot of press for Save the Tatas. You don't hear about saving the nuts. very
Nobody
often.
wants to save the balls, but it's just as
Shout out
important.
Lance Armstrong.
Mm. Maybe.
Last one. Go ahead. My wife's giving me some very, very uncomfortable looks.
Lance Armstrong. Last one. Got it. He has one test. Yeah, I got it.
Like that.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go balls out on this one.
Yeah,
In badminton, it just sucks that you can't use pine tar anymore. You can, but good luck trying to count that as a win.
It's only illegal if you get caught.
Right.
Put it that way.
I have been in some intense badminton tournaments.
Shuttlecocks flying
everywhere at reckless speed, ludicrous speeds. And, you know,
left and right.
Yeah, you grip it and rip it. And if you need that little bit, you know, sometimes you just need that little bit of an edge.
All right. I hate to like focus on these cliche sports debates, but Soapy, you go first. Badminton GOAT. Who do you got?
Oh, man.
Top 10 badminton players of all time. U.S.
Yeah, please. We could talk all day about the Jamaican League.
I know. I mean,
there's so many greats, and like that's another question where if you really want to get into it, you'd have to compare eras. Like the dead shuttlecock era versus the live
the dead
shuttlecock era,
the flopcock era. Yeah. Oh man. So I assume we lost VHS as a sponsor at this point. So we'll start like a GoFundMe or something because I can't see anyone giving us money for this show. But anywho, I think these are all valid things, and I'm glad someone had not to go back, but someone had the balls to talk about it publicly. Not the Deers in Soapy's life, but
I thank you for your service, Soapy.
Thank you.
Would you rather get shot? Oh God,
no.
Would you rather get shot?
How about just not? I'd rather not, actually.
Never mind. We don't have time for this. We'll have to have you on again. Let's do this in closing. So, Marc, Boston diehard sports fan. You went to Philadelphia. At the time of this recording, we'll probably release this Saturday. Give the folks a little Saturday special edition. Celtics are up 2-0 in the series. What are your thoughts on this Philly series, and what are your thoughts on the Celtics team in general? As a non-homer,
I really like the team. I don't think that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum get the TV attention that they actually deserve, and I hope that this. There's always kind of been people just, even though we have the most championships, they never really give the Celtics enough TV time and to really show the young core. I think Kemba Walker has been underrated this year. Before he got hurt, he was tearing it up. I think Jason Tatum is really taking off. I think the bubble has helped the Celtics. Like, the younger the team is, the more the bubble has helped. So I lean on the Celtics. And I'm getting texts galore that apparently the Magic are doing it again to the Bucks as we speak. And I don't know. So,
they were down 20 last time I saw.
I got the text that apparently Markelle Fultz is
not the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Bucks won 111-98. Spoiler alert.
I got the text from a guy in Philly. Markelle Fultz looking like a number 1 pick now, and we got, I think they said Josh Richardson.
Yeah. We talked about that draft before. And honestly, I feel like Marc could jump right in this conversation. We'll do a separate episode. We used to just deep dive into different drafts.
Oh, please.
Boy, is the NBA draft awful.
I will say that I enjoy watching the NBA draft.
There's some terrible players drafted into the NBA.
You can say the same about the NFL draft too. I enjoy watching both those drafts.
The NBA draft is 2 rounds, and I don't think you can look back. I can't remember if you get 5 All-Stars from a draft. That's a good draft.
Yeah,
actually, that's an incredibly good draft. You get 3 All-Stars in a draft. That's a great draft.
Yeah.
But going back to like the one with the Markelle Fultz draft, that was just so great because I was never high on Markelle Fultz. I wasn't super high on Tatum, but I knew as soon as Philly took Fultz, all I cared about was the Lakers taking Lonzo Ball because I is not high on Fultz as I was even way lower on Lonzo Ball. So if those happened, the Celtics could have had Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox. That wasn't Donovan Mitchell, right? He was in the JB draft.
No, he was in the JB draft.
Okay, Donovan Mitchell, and even Josh Jackson at the time. He stinks now, but at the time, I think he would have been a good fit on the Celtics. That was perfect. Jason Tatum obviously ended up being the best.
Taken off the board.
I will say this as well. I knew I wasn't high on Markelle Fultz because I actually watched college basketball, and I remember hearing the name, but I never saw anything in his game that I liked.
Nope. Same with Ben Simmons. He was hurt most of the year at LSU, and he was like, "Oh, this is the unanimous number 1 pick, no question." He didn't even fucking play his first year.
I'll also say this, and watching as much college basketball as I did, I never really remembered Jason Tatum either.
No, a little more than the other guys because he went to Duke.
Right.
But that's pretty much why.
I said, okay, we're getting a guy from Duke. It's a pretty good chance he's going to be a good player, and he's exceeded my expectations.
Pretty good chance he's going to be a white 3-point shooter. Boy, was I surprised when I saw the first game.
Boy, was my face red.
Boy, was there egg on my face.
Hey, we still got a chance to get Kyle Singler if we want, so let's not call that a done deal.
But you're right, because we had this talk before. Donovan Mitchell was in Jason Tatum's draft because Brown was the year before. Simmons went 1, missed the whole year, and then Simmons won Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell the next year.
When they had that little beef.
That's an unwritten rule. That shit's bullshit. Like, it's not my fault you got hurt your rookie year. You're not a rookie anymore. Blake Griffin did the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Luka
Donovan
Doncic.
Mitchell wore the sweatshirt that said like rookie in quotes.
Yep.
So here's a real quick. So if you look at that rule and you put it towards another sport, shouldn't have Tom Brady won Rookie of the Year?
Exactly. First year he played in the NFL.
Right.
Or first year he actually played.
Yeah.
But it's like, I remember when Ichiro first came out. Ichiro won Rookie of the Year when he was like 35 years old.
Yeah,
he's playing in Japan since he was 12.
He won Silver Slugger, MVP, Rookie of the Year, All-Star, and Gold Glove.
Had to have won Gold Glove.
Yeah.
One of the best years, one of the single greatest seasons of all time. Like,
what else led the league in like stolen bases.
And was that the Mariners like 116 game season?
Right.
What the fuck else do you want this guy to do?
They lost Griffey and A-Rod, and that was the year they like won over 100 games.
Yep. Ichiro, Brett Boone, and Edgar Martinez. And there's some pitchers. It was before Freddie. No.
Freddie Garcia.
Before Felix Hernandez. Freddie Garcia. Aaron Seeley was on that team.
Who was Jamie Moyer on that team?
Jamie Moyer was on that team.
I think Jay Buhner was still on that team.
Rick Bucher, the NBA analyst, was on that team. Very underrated second baseman. And I want to say Rodney Dangerfield. I'm starting to blur lines here, but
Shane Falco was
Footsteps Falco.
Yeah.
But no, it's like even like Luka Doncic now. It's like, oh, this kid's great. He's only fucking 20, 21 years old. He's been playing professional basketball in Europe since he was like 14 years old. Like he's not a kid. He knows what he's
Yao Ming, Dirk Nowitzki.
Yao Ming's a great example.
Go up and down the list.
And I don't care what, speaking of stats versus eye test, I don't care what you tell me. Greg Oden was not an 18-year-old kid when he was drafted into the NBA. That guy was 40. That was like a Bad Boys 2 scene. Like
he was getting prostate exams his rookie year in the NBA.
Greg Oden listed doubtful for prostate exam.
Prostate exam.
All right. Well, I'd love to pick up this conversation about Greg Oden's prostate at another time. So we'd love to have you back, Mark. Good friend of the program. Hopefully a continuing friend of the program. Before we let you go, where can our listeners find you on social media if they want to continue following you?
You know what? All I do is rant on it. I don't even know what my handles are on the top of my head. Oh, at TKAMARC. Definitely get at me. I will not be a coward to anybody's ridiculous takes on anything. I will battle you with the full force of my fury. I will come at you with a blow of 1,000 winds, and I look forward to seeing you all on the field of battle on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same thing at TKAMARC. Get at me. Catch me outside sometime.
That's a hell of a sales pitch.
I don't know what you were selling, but
where do I follow?
I want to get in more Twitter beats with people.
It's great. It's the best.
I will acknowledge what you say is nonsense automatically, and I will shame you for it.
I've got a good one. I favorited the I liked the tweet, and I'm trying not to like many things so that I can remember it from like a Bucks conversation where like a dozen Bucks fans just buried on me because it was after the first game, the Celtics Bucks game, where Giannis basically played with 7 fouls. And there's a stat that came out like Giannis like first game back almost finishes with a triple double. And I was like, oh, it would have been a quadruple double if you counted his fouls.
Yeah.
And I got the wrath of Milwaukee.
Bring it on.
Got bucked.
Bring it on, you cheese eaters. I will say this right now, and I hope they're listening. Giannis Antetokounmpo, great player, is on steroids. I'm telling you.
Do they even drug test in the NBA?
I don't. Not for steroids, just for weed. Apparently, no, they stopped that. They stopped that in the bubble.
No, it's freebie this year.
Yeah.
I actually do think they what's his name on the Hawks got busted for steroids. But I think that it's very loosely enforced, or I don't fucking know.
It's an unwritten testing.
Did anyone notice how big he's gotten in granted?
He's enormous.
Yeah.
But then again, you look at him from his rookie year, you look at the transition, and sure, you could say LeBron and all this too.
Look at Anthony Davis.
But there's definitely a little bit of juicing going on. Yeah. He's a lot madder. He's a very angry young man.
I put this out there, and this is a hot take, and a lot of people, scientists are going to hate this. I think he's slowly turning into an actual deer. Like, I'm sorry. If there's one player who encapsulates like his team's mascot, Giannis has very like moose and deer-like qualities to him.
Those doughy
head of steam.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for him to get pissed and his antlers just like pop out like in Pinocchio.
That's only way to beat. The unwritten rule is you don't hit him in the testicles, though.
That's what I was going to say. That's where that unwritten rule really came from.
Yeah. If I don't even know who the fucking coach of the Magic is. If you're listening, here's a free scouting report for you. Go for his hooves.
Go for the nuts.
Go for the nuts and go.
Only the back hooves. Only go for the back ones.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun.
I really hope they lose. I hope.
Me too. But they won't. They'll win in 5. They'll win in 5.
Every number 1 seed, I want to lose in the bubble.
Hey,
Lakers will be.
They actually do have to play in Orlando next.
Shit, you're going back home. The true home court team in the league. Stinks. But all right, Morse Code Podcast. Dan Morse, Soapy Priya, TKA. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
Later.